Someday, put it together.
What are you doing?
Dance off, bro. Me and you.
What are you doing?
I'm distracting you, you big turd blossom.
Guys, do you remember when the days where, you know, the PC
when
race...
the days where...
Where the days where... I'm a little bit sick today, okay, everybody? I'm having an epic cold, alright? I'm not feeling very randy, am I right?
Stop, Sam.
Get some help.
Remember the days when the PC race would look on the mere console mortals and look at them fight and squabble? Now it looks like the tables have turned, everybody.
Correct. So, obviously, as we heard yesterday, Borderlands 3 coming out on the Epic Games Store.
Yep.
Not coming out on Steam.
Yep. But we knew this, really. I mean, I could see this from a mile away.
If Sam could see it, everyone could see it.
Exactly right, okay? The genius themselves. Oh my god. I'm fucking sick today. Are we just going to drop this? Not yet.
There's a lot to say on this. The internet has reacted extremely angrily. Let's take you through the angry reaction. Blah, 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 blah.
Okay, guys, so as you can see, best drop ever, best opening ever.
Very
We're
clean.
off to a great start.
Very clean.
It's going to be fantastic. This episode is going to be great, okay?
So, Epic Games Store and Borderlands 3. Now, this obviously was confirmed yesterday in the announcement. The trailer went up. Pretty cool looking trailer, by the way. Looking forward to the game. No surprises there, really, purely because we saw this coming a long way off. A few months back, actually in December last year, Randy tweeted out that he was pretty okay with the idea of like Epic Games exclusives, and that was where the first alarm bells started ringing off.
He definitely was putting out the feelers, you know. He was kind of like, hey community, what do you guys think of the Epic Games Store, you know? And then people...
It's just downloading another launcher.
Yeah, and of course the backlash was already slowly there in the actual kind of replies to Randy. So I knew the moment he was going to come out and say, hey, we are on the Epic Games Store, it was going to be bad. Especially with the Metro Exodus thing.
Correct.
And other games, it's just been backlash after backlash. I wonder how this is really going to go, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, one thing I also noticed a few weeks ago was that the head of publishing for Epic Games retweeted Randy Pitchford's like hype tweet about Borderlands 3, and I was like, that didn't get reported widely, but as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh yeah, lock it in.
Yeah, I didn't see Gabe retweeting anything Randy was doing. Okay,
Correct.
so where's Gabe? Where is Gabe?
Gabe? He's on the box of Chinese underwear. It's a true story.
No way.
I swear to God, Google it, Sam.
Oh my god.
So just to clarify the announcement, it is going to be available in September. It's going to be on the PC, Xbox, and on PS4. No Switch, maybe in the future, who knows. And it's not going to be on Steam. It's only going to be on the Epic Games Store for the first 6 months, at which point it will then become available on Steam. But 6 months exclusive to the Epic Games Store.
I mean, look, it's... A lot of other games were 12-month exclusive, so maybe this is like the midway point where 2K were like, look, we can't do 12 months because people will hate us too much. I'm sure if the backlash wasn't so bad with other games, we might have seen, you know, an indefinite exclusive or something like that. They might have just had to go back to the drawing board and go, okay, we can only give you 6 months. You know?
Yeah, Randy also sort of astroturfed this in advance. A few days ago, he tweeted out, like, oh, by the way, guys, all of the decisions about the publishing are made by 2K. Nothing to do with me, I swear, you know? So he was kind of, I think, getting everyone ready for this announcement as well. I secretly suspect that if Randy Pitchford put his foot down and was like, listen, this is not happening. We are releasing this game on Steam or not, like, no matter what. I'm pretty sure at that point 2K would have to buckle.
didn't do it.
That's my guess.
I think
That's my guess.
so. I think that, you know, Randy is, you know, kind of the captain of the ship, you know, when it comes to Borderlands, and I'm sure he has a lot to say there, so I don't know if he's got some sort of financial compensation, who knows, right? But there is going to be something, somewhere along the line he could have been like, hey, you know what, I don't want this, but he didn't do that.
After the announcement, obviously, the internet went pretty fucking nuts.
Crazy.
As we could anticipate. Now, the first thing that
Review
we
bombs.
started seeing was review bombing.
Of course, it's back again, people. It's back, and it's back in fashion, you know?
Okay, first of all, you'll see here, we've got the charts on screen. All of the old Borderlands games are getting review bombed to high heaven. Now, we've said in the past, we don't like review bombing like this. I think there's definitely times where review bombing is really useful, and really good, in fact, because, like, if you've got a title and it's doing a shitty thing, then you should, like, make your voice heard, because there's very few ways for consumers to make their voices heard, and review bombing can be a good way to do that. Absolutely.
I think,
but I do feel like... Thanks, Sam.
Yeah,
thanks for allowing me to continue and conclude my point.
I have been cucked, everybody.
I do think that review bombing old games, like Borderlands 2 didn't do anything wrong, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's a shitty move, because it was a development team that made a fantastic fucking game. That game is still as fantastic as ever, and I feel like in this instance, review bombing it is just not cool. I mean, I get it. Consumers have very few ways to show their outrage. I get that.
That's what I was going to say.
But I do believe that, and especially on the Epic Games Store, you can't even review bomb Borderlands 3 when it comes out, because the Epic Games Store doesn't have a fucking reviews.
Thank you, Ralph, for taking all my points. But that's ultimately it, really. There is no way.
Just repeat them in a different way, Sam.
I'll just put
for a change.
I'll put Ralph's ugly head over mine, okay? If the consumer had an actual way that they could fight back and really let them know and make them, you know, feel the power of the consumer, then I'm sure they would...
Terrible, but great.
Then I'm sure they would do other ways.
But
the bottom line is, there is just no way to get their voice really heard. I'm not a fan of review bombing either, but I agree that...
Not review bombing old titles. Like, people are suggesting that there should be like a review the developer, review the publisher on Steam. Like, there's an entry for that, and people can review bomb that, and I'd be totally fine with that.
Definitely.
That makes total sense to me. But review bombing Borderlands 2 because Borderlands 3 is Epic Games exclusive.
Yeah,
that I don't like. But anyway, that was the review bomb. It's all going crazy at the moment. I think the other thing as well is there's a lot of talk of boycotting the game.
They say that every time.
They do.
Like, Metro went well. Like, is that really going to happen?
You've said that. You've just triggered like 1,000 PC games subreddit people. Like, there's the data about how well that game sold is inconclusive. I suspect it sold enough for them to do well. Yeah. But a lot of people are convinced that it didn't.
And we did a video on that before, that, you know, it sold 2.5 times better than the previous Metro. But then, of course, it wasn't as an established IP. There was controversy around it. People wanted to try it. And I get all that.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is there's some track records now that show that the backlash doesn't actually mean that the game's going to be screwed, because Metro did well. A lot of people are going to still line up for Borderlands, you know?
I think, Borderlands has so much pull that no matter what, it's going to do well. Like, that's the reality, you know? Borderlands is a fucking cool franchise. You know, people are going to buy it.
I think people love to go, oh, a lot of cool games coming out in 2020. You know?
That's right.
And it's a good zinger. I like it. But the bottom line is, when the release date comes out and their mates playing it, they're going to be like, fuck this, I'm going to Epic Games, you know?
And most consumers as well, by the way, who will buy a box copy in retail, they're not going to realize that it's not on Steam. They're going to think, I'm buying a copy, I'll get a code from the store, I'll take it home, put it into Steam. Oh, that doesn't work. I have to download the Epic Games Launcher now. People will just do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, uninformed consumers that don't understand what's going on here, they're going to be like, oh, well, I'll just download Epic.
Sure. And I think another thing that's really happening at the moment is the good old The Pirate's Life for Me thing.
Yarr!
Yarr!
That's got to be the best pirate I've ever seen. So it would seem.
Now, look, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people understand that. I personally think that to pirate games because you don't like where the products are put,
fuck that. Sorry, I think it's shit.
I just don't think it's a great way of really saying, you know, I'm going to, you know, rebel against what you guys are doing. If BMW brought out something and I didn't like the product, I'm not going to fucking steal it, you know? I'm not
Sam's making a very important point, guys. You wouldn't download a car.
You wouldn't download a house. No, but we're merely trying to say, we get it. This is also folding into the same part of, like, we want to show the developers and the publishers why we're angry, and this is a way to protest. But the bottom line is, you know, there's one thing to, like, not buy a game, or like review bomb. There's another thing to steal.
Yeah, and I don't give a fuck about all the like the report that you read that it doesn't hurt the industry, or the quote from Gamon where it's like, oh, it's a service. I don't give a fuck about all that, okay? Don't steal games that developers make.
Totally.
Like, as someone that loves this industry, I don't like piracy. I think it's fucked. There's no excuse to pirate, except in those very rare instances where you can't buy it in your country. Okay, fair enough. Or where there's no regional currency conversion, which is actually a problem with the Epic Games Store. And I do get that. Some countries don't have like their currency, and they have to pay like 2 months' salary.
Or $900 dues, okay?
Two months' salary to be able to, $900 to be able to buy an Epic Games. I know, it was a bit. But like, I get it in those instances. You've got to be realistic. I do get that. But for the 99.95% of people that can buy the game at a reasonable price, just wait or like don't buy it. Don't buy it. I think that's shit.
Exactly.
But anyway,
right. And
that's happening a lot.
Totally. But what is the next point?
Good question.
What is the next point? This is
the trailer. The trailer.
Oh yes, the trailer also got massively down. But now it's not Diablo Immortal territory. Okay, it's not like 2% dislike ratio.
not.
It's like 40%, something
Roughly,
like that.
roughly 40%, which is really bad for a Borderlands game.
Totally.
And I think if you see the initial trailer that was sort of the developer trailer that came out a few days ago without talking about the Epic Games exclusive, it's got like a 95% upvote. You know what I mean? I think because everyone's like, yeah, this is cool. We love Borderlands. Yeah, Borderlands. And then their thing with the Epic Games, it's like, whoa, we don't like this.
Yes.
So it's, obviously it really clearly had a huge impact on the overall hype of this game. If you just cruise forums and Twitter and whatever, the light came on. If you just cruise forums and Twitter or whatever, you will see that there's a lot of people that are just pissed off about this. They're piecing out and they're waiting for the next, for the game to come out on Steam.
Yeah.
They're happy to wait 6 months, or they're not happy to do it, but they'll do it to make their point.
Yeah, I think that the overall thing here is if people actually stick by their word and they don't buy the game until it's on Steam, or they just don't buy the game at all, and Gearbox and 2K do see an actual monetary reason to really kind of look back at their strategy going forward with other games, and we might see this whole trend with Epic Games exclusives not actually continue. But right now,
well, Tim Sweeney recently just said he just said like, okay, this is still going to continue. We are still going to be getting exclusives. It's a big part of our strategy. We're going to continue to buy exclusives from games that have been announced to be released on Steam. So don't expect this to change anytime soon. Like, he's still going to be chasing
Having said that, I think if we start seeing a precedent where games are coming out and it's not doing as well as the money that's been given, or the goodwill and the strong IP and the IP itself is getting damaged, I think a lot of developments and publishing houses will be like, actually, let's not do this, I
agree.
And I think, they also came out, Epic also came out and said, hey, by the way, we're actually running at a loss right now just to get all these exclusives on board. So is that a sustainable thing? I don't think so. Well, so it's going to be one of the two. It's going to be either Epic's like 2 years or 3 years down the track saying, we've been doing this now for 3 or 4 years. We haven't made any money out of this. Like, or, as I said, I think the trend will be that all these consumers will be like, fuck this, people don't buy it. And the development and publishers don't do it.
I think that this might be a good way to get an install base for Steam. And this is the thing, right? Here's the deal. Here's my perspective on the Epic Games Store
Here we
saga,
go.
okay? I don't like the way that Epic are doing this. Because I think that it is obviously anti-consumer to force them to do things, and you should be building a platform that incentivizes, right, and draws people in with better pricing and better features. But right now, people are being forced in.
And they have that with the development aspect to it, in terms of it costs less to put your games on the platform. It looked very pro-developer, and in that way, it looked like it was going to be very pro-consumer because they had more money to do more content for the games and stuff.
I think at first I was very much like, oh, this really sucks, this blows, I'm really pissed off. But over time, my feelings on this have changed because I'm like, where the fuck is Valve in this? I'm like, you guys have to put up a fight. I really do understand why a publisher is going to do this at this point when they see that Valve is not coming to the table. I think early on, there were all these like surprise broadsides and we're like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. That's really shitty. This was meant to be coming out on Steam in 2 weeks. And now all of a sudden that sucks. But now it's like the battle lines have been drawn. Like, it's clear what's going on. And Valve still aren't doing anything. They're still not offering a more competitive rate. And if I'm looking at revenue streams of hundreds of millions of dollars as a company, as a publisher, and I'm looking at, huge incentive payments to get stuff onto my platform, I'm a business. I've got to make the smart business decision.
Yeah.
And if I can see that I'm going to make more money on the Epic Game Store, then like that's where business goes. Business is business. That's what they do. So at this point, I do believe that this is just as much on Valve as it is on Epic.
Yeah,
I don't like what Epic is doing. I think their store is garbage. I think this practice is bad. But at the same time, I'm like, Valve, you guys aren't fucking stepping up and fighting back. So what are they supposed to do?
Yeah, I have been wondering in the last couple of weeks when we have been covering, you know, this whole Epic and Steam saga, what is Gabe's mind frame?
Yeah.
You know, like, is he really looking at this and going, well, I've got a really strong, you know, goodwill with the consumer. They're all fighting for Steam. Do I really need to do anything? Do I really need to just wait for this wave to ride?
Yeah.
Or is he really now looking at this and going, well, I don't think this is going away. I really do need to start doing things. And I think the biggest thing, but I think the biggest thing he needs to do is really change the percentage he's taking.
Correct.
You know, he needs to match them at least, and maybe he needs to, which sucks, get into the whole competing for the exclusives kind of thing also.
Because here's the thing, right? Right now, you've got a whole bunch of consumers out there fighting for Steam. Okay, they're on the forums. I love Steam. I love its features. They're fighting for Steam, but Steam isn't fighting for them.
Yeah.
Like they're just being like, oh well, whatever, man. We're making all the money.
Yeah.
We're gonna fucking CS:GO and out. We're making all the money from Artifact, man. We're raking in cash with Artifact. So it's like Steam is not fighting for the consumer the way the consumer is fighting for Steam, and I think that needs to change because we can't keep blaming Epic for this sort of stuff when at the end of the day, publishers are making they're looking at the dollars and cents and seeing this makes a better deal for us. We're going to have to go.
Yeah, and I think
Valve have to fight back.
I think we would have maybe seen a response quicker from Valve if we are going to see one from Steam. You know, if there wasn't such a strong goodwill in the community with Steam right now. You know, as I said, I think Gabe is sitting back because he's thinking, you know, they're doing all the fighting, I don't need to do anything. But that's just the wrong attitude because I think, you know, in a few months, if not sooner, maybe people are going to be like, why am I doing this now? Why am I review bombing these games? Why am I putting all this effort in to try and get it on Steam when I'm not even hearing a peep from Steam? Like, you're not hearing anything from them.
I think that Gabe's probably just too busy playing Artifact.
Yeah,
true. He's probably like, because there's about 700 active players of Artifact at any point in time.
Yeah.
He probably has like 699 clients open. He's like playing, you know, like low stakes poker games where people have like multiple games at once. It's all just Gabe and playing Artifact at this point. No one else is fucking playing it, you know? But anyway, that's it. That's the situation with Epic Games. Obviously, it's a shitty situation all around. Everyone's losing here right now. Like, everyone is pissed off and annoyed and fighting and pointing fingers and whatever else. It's a shame that it comes to this. It would be nice if it was available on Steam, but it's not. That's the reality of it. If anything changes or the story develops, we'll keep you updated.
We will let you know.
But right now, we're going to go back to playing Artifact.
Bye.
It's your big day! Whoa. Incredible job! I know we had our differences, but today, I just want to tell you.
Congratulations!